Yo, ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? This is Let Us Cook episode 7. This time is going to be the MK1 beta edition. And we got a very special guest along with us. Is none other than my homie Cease, one of the greatest graphic designers in the community, but a real known player as well. Up and coming though. What's going on, Cease?
What's going on, guys?
And there's also Bacon, he's there.
Yeah, I'm here. How's it going?
But yeah, we're gonna just talk about the basically the beta for you guys and our thoughts. I'm pretty sure all of us has a decent amount of time played with the game. I played about at least 200 games on the beta. Was really having a good time with sub, just mixing everyone. But yeah, the beta was let me give you some initial thoughts. Let's start off with you, Cease. What was your initial thoughts on the beta, man?
So as for changes from the stress test to the beta, I didn't think I was really going to enjoy the movement buff. I thoroughly enjoyed the neutral that was being played and the slower movement
Agreed.
of the stress test. But I really don't mind the dash blocking that was implemented. Alongside that, I think the additional characters really kind of opened up how the gameplay is really, I guess, how the cast will kind of operate with each other. It didn't feel nearly as hectic as I thought it was going to be. Johnny was doing Johnny things. And I'll speak on that a little bit later. But outside of that, I think this is very, very close to what I feel is a really perfect Mortal Kombat game.
Okay, Bacon?
Yeah, I mean, I echo a lot of what he's saying. Mainly, I think the movement was the thing that I was most interested in coming out of the stress test. It's probably the thing we talked about the most going into this after the last episode. And I thought it was fine, but my only concern is if we're all just really bad at it right now, because I don't know if what we were thinking about MK11 movement when that first got the change, but I guess my fear is that the twins will start moving and I'll be like, oh, this is a lot. This is Fujin again, but I don't think I felt that problem. Well, Johnny's was really good, but he's allowed to have something.
Johnny and Kenshi are ridiculous with their movement.
We'll talk about Kenshi. I got a lot to say about Kenshi. But yeah, no, I think the biggest thing for me though is I found myself really wanting a training mode, which is something that I love MK11. I think it's a great game, but I think I kind of figured out Scarlet in the beta without a training mode. You know what I mean?
Okay.
In that beta, we had we had Scarlet and Baraka and Scorpion. I think we figured those characters out in that beta.
Very simple game. Yeah.
I think all of these characters are going to be played very differently once we get a training mode. Right. It's been a while since there's an NRS game where I was excited to lab something because I'm like, oh, I have these ideas I want to test out and I want to work on all these things to kind of build my character, because most of the time labbing for me in 11 especially was just learning matchups and practicing punishes and stuff like that. I feel like this game more so than 11 and Injustice 2 kind of obligatory Injustice 1 mention. We had to do it once an episode, but it made me feel like I was playing Injustice 1 again, just in the lab finding bullshit.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Goat fighting game, by the way.
Of course, you love Injustice so goddamn much. He always has to bring it up, guys.
Have to.
But overall, I did enjoy the beta a lot. I was worried about the movement too. That was pretty much the number one thing everybody was worried about because I was the spacing wise the pacing of the game where you had cameos. I'm like, okay, crack movement plus a cameo. I don't know about that. I'm liking the movement in the beginning. With the wave dashing that was implemented, I was okay. It didn't seem too hectic for now, but there are things subject to change, And another thing, you both were talking about labbing and whatnot and experimenting, that's the biggest thing that I was in this beta. I'm just man, when we talked about when we had Gambler told us there's 384 combinations, not including DLC in the future, that is going to be in the game with the characters and cameos we have. You're not going to be able to lab everything, but you're going to be able to lab at least the situations you want to. And it's going to create I know a lot of us are going to get lost in training. There's going to be a lot of sauce being had, and there's going to be a reason why I retire as a commentator and not play this game because I don't want to deal with some of the stuff that people are going to be throwing at me. I'm gonna keep it a buck, okay? I'm gonna keep it a buck 50. But yes, overall debate, I was man, I kind of want to keep playing, and I was very upset when they shut down at 5 o'clock on Monday. Not gonna lie, not gonna lie at all.
Right.
Oh man,
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a few more just kind of like general mechanic things I want to like really hone in on, and then we can go on like a character to cameo, just kind of individual like breakdown of what we think about that stuff.
we all know Kano was the best character in the game.
Kano,
Yeah.
dude, I have some opinions on Kano.
Kano
that
was the
I-
best
that
character
I
in the game. We all
think-
know this.
Yeah, I'll save my thoughts for Kano, but I think one thing I really want to hear your guys' opinions on is pokes, and in particular down ones being punishable. I think there's
Go
been
ahead,
some
Peter.
talk about that going on the timeline I've been seeing.
Oh man, go ahead, Cease about that one.
Yeah. So as for the poke changes, and this isn't something we're a new addition. We experienced this in the stress test for those that have played the stress test. I think it's a really healthy change for the game. I at least me personally, I enjoy it very much, only because I think a lot of what we experienced in the past couple games have been whenever someone poked you, your first reaction to that is to poke back. If it's on hit, then you begin your offense. I think it kind of opens up what the gameplay exchanges are going to be, because now you at least have the freedom to feel confident in using a mid as a reversal. If you really want to get that down one punish, then go ahead. You know, and no one's stopping you from getting the free 2%. Sometimes it can be a little hard to react to amongst the like tons of options that they have on offense, whether they're going to be using a mid, overhead, whatever it is. But I just really enjoy how the exchanges are going. It doesn't feel like it's poking back and forth into backdashes. And yeah, I think it's a healthy change. I really enjoy it, and I think it should be a mainstay from here forward in all NRS games.
Yeah, I personally like. I think that the counter poking meta game is probably like one of the most MK things about like modern MK games, right? Like, there's not really a lot of other fighting games that have those kind of mind games that come through, just like the way down ones and the way the block button comes into play and that stuff. And I think what I liked about the down ones being unsafe is that it felt like I really had to engage with those mind games more, right? Because I was running situations where I was playing like really good Johnnies, and they would do their 4-3 string on me, and my brain from like 11 and X and whatnot just like kind of defaults to counter poking with my down one, and they would just block that shit and punish it, right? And when you can punish your down one with your own down one, you're basically guaranteeing your high pressure, right? Which is a lot where your best offense comes from. And right, it kind of takes away that scrambliness of like, yeah, I blocked their down one. I should probably go for a mid here or a down one check just to check them. But all my good offense comes from my highs. It comes from my jabs. That's where my shimmies come from. It's where my throws come, you know? So the fact that now you can kind of guarantee you can get your best offense off a counter poke like that. That to me kind of makes it feel less scrambly. And you know, when I was in counter poke situations, it felt more like I was trying to play the mind games that are involved in that, and less of just trying to like down one away. You know.
I can agree with that. Yeah, I can agree with that. It's just like it requires you a little bit more think than just to mash, you know. And that's when I really feel like the cameo comes in that play. Like, you use your cameo for the cover of what you want to do, and that, especially when we talk about, you know, our Lord and Savior Kano Ball.
Kano, yeah.
Oh man, that move right there. The fact that you had to charge, you can charge it up and then just cancel. So you just gave up.
We're gonna have the Kano discussion. All right, if you scroll down on the YouTube video, there'll be a timestamp for Kano time. But
I'm sorry, that cameo opened up a lot of doors for a lot of people and made me realize there's a lot of things we need to understand about the meta of the game is going to be cameos, just straight up. That's what people need to understand. That's going to be, I guarantee you, when the game comes out, there's only going to be like 3 cameos that everyone uses because they're going to be the strongest. And that's how it's going to be. Like, that's why I feel straight up.
I feel like in the discovery phase, people are all going to be looking for like the weird, cool stuff. You know?
Yeah, whatever works best.
I feel like it's going to take a while to settle.
Yeah.
But no, I think I agree with you on just like the general meta conversation with it being so cameo focused, because I think fundamentally this game still like it feels like 11 with sauce, right? It's very strike throwy. You know, I don't think like I think the only real 50-50 like overhead low in the game right now is like Lee May's air special, right? Because like subs back two's 24 frames. A lot of the other overheads are like in the 20 plus. There's a lot of like Kenshi. Oh, all right, Kenshi. Yeah.
Then Johnny is safe in launches.
Yeah, but that's very fuzzyable. Like I was reacting to the 2-1
Yeah.
mix-ups by the
Okay.
final day of the beta. Same with all like the frost like low gimmicks. Like that's very fuzzyable. There was a lot of fake stuff in this beta,
Hmm.
and I think a lot of it comes down to strike throw. But then you have like the layers the cameos give, right? Like there's a lot of like I was talking to someone on Discord recently, and we were talking about like, yeah, in 11, it felt like every character was just getting command grabs. In this game, it feels like everyone's getting like setup stuff, right? It's like Guilty Gear, like people are like putting stuff down on your wake ups, right? So I feel like that's where a lot of the sauce is gonna come from. And you have like what, like Kenshi, Katana, Sub were doing that in the beta. Frost could do that, so
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's just it's strike throw with sauce. Kind of like how like Street Fighter 6 is, which is it's a fun direction to go in.
I can
Yeah.
see that.
And something I'd like to add before we kind of explore new topics is that circling back to the negative pokes,
Mhm.
is that I really I kind of respect a double poke more now, because and it happened a very few times against individual players that I've fought throughout the beta.
Yeah, it's a
Whenever
harder
they would
read
double
now.
poke me, yeah, it's a harder read, and I was like, you could have died there, but you chose to double poke anyways, and you're reaping the benefits of that decision.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a wow, I can't believe he poked there. Doesn't he know I have an 11 frame mid? It's like, okay, he really believed in that decision.
Right. I mean, I do wonder if, like, as the game develops, if the answer to a down one is just always punish it, right? And because, like, I mean, if you punish a down with a down one, like, you go from being like +8 to like +12, right?
Yeah.
So, like, it feels like it's always kind of a good thing to do. Um, do you guys, I guess, staying on this pokes topic, like, there is some discussion about just make them -6 instead. What do we think about that?
I like this new meta.
I
I
do
like
too.
this. I like this new one because like it creates some room like of you use your cameo more for like to cover for it, and I like it's the new pacing for it. Like there wasn't too many cases of me getting like mashed on. Like I was checking a lot of people because I was playing sub. I was checking a lot of people for one. Like that's just straight up how it was,
Right.
and like I said, the strike throw with sauce is just honestly the very appropriate term for what this game is. What Bacon said is I feel like this is a way that this will give it the new feel that it needs, and honestly I feel like it creates a decent pace. And speaking of pace, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna say this off rip, this is a first to two game, don't argue me.
Well, first to two? What?
Yes, don't argue me, it's first to two.
What do you mean it's
Okay.
first
It's
to
first to two, I don't care, it's first to two.
I disagree.
I'm putting my TO pants on, I'm sorry, this is first to two.
Oh, okay. All right.
Can you explain a little why?
I want
it's
to hear
first
that.
to-
Yeah.
You want to explain why it's first to two? I just feel like in the sense of people might say, okay, you die fast, this and that, this mix ups, and then it came as like a steamroll. I'm just going by the factor of the comeback potential between just the cameos in general and the bars being it's a 3-bar breaker. I feel like the matches can really they can. I'm not gonna say they can drag, but I feel like they're modernly paced enough that it doesn't need to be a first to three because I've seen plenty of comebacks from just those like 15% health deficits. I mean, when they have 15% compared to 80, and the pacing just felt like perfect to the point where I feel like this is a first to two game, first to three, we pushing it and going towards like the long run of it. I'm just like I said, I'm thinking from a TL standpoint, it would just create just a longer process for the game. That's all I'm saying. Just saying was because it felt like, man, I can make a comeback from almost any situation after they break. Like it did not feel like I was in the point I was playing sub, but like it did not feel like it was hard, so to speak. So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, I do wonder like once people like start actually reacting to like back two for sub, for instance, if you'll feel like that comeback factor is still there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because like I said, we only had
But-
4 cameos,
Right.
and we still don't know what the other cameos do.
Right.
So like, that's just how I feel about it.
But I'm glad you brought up the point of like from the TO perspective, because I think that can sometimes get lost. Because like Street Fighter 6 is a first to 3 game. Okay. No.
No.
Let me keep talking. Let me keep
No.
talking. Let me keep
Go
talking.
ahead.
Shut the hell up, Tento. Let me keep talking.
Go. Okay, fine. Go.
Street Fighter 6 is a first to 3 game if there ever was a first to 3 game. But you can't run it first to 3 because there's 1,000 motherfuckers entering all these goddamn brackets. That's the only reason that we don't run that first to 3, right? So like MK11, I'm glad it's first to 3, but that's not a first to 3 game.
It's not.
That is a first to 2 game that we gaslighted TOs into making first to 3
Literally.
because we weren't having high entrance. That's the only reason it's first to 3 now. It's because we went online and we were running all our own shit and we decided to make it first to 3. This game, I feel like, has a better argument to be first to 3 than 11 was. Just because I feel like people are kind of just gonna die in this game.
Yeah.
I mean, I played Kenshi. I kind of killed people, but yeah. We'll see. I think it'll probably be first to 2 for at least the first year, like how 11 was, and we'll see how it develops from there.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
Steve, you were about to add on to that?
I'd like it to be first to 3, just because I share the same sentiment as Bacon. I think that it's kind of a very steamroll like game, or at least that's how I believe the meta will develop. It kind of reminds me a little bit of MKX in a sense that the game is less about, like, sure, there are really, really good aspects of neutral that I enjoy that were taken from MK11, but I think most of the game is built on how do I keep my turn for as long as possible. And that kind of comes mostly from what I saw with Kano. I think if the meta is going to build up to anything that has remnants of what Kano is and what Kano does best, then it's just going to be keep your turn for as long as possible, take down as much of their life. As soon as they get their turn, they're going to do, like, you'll do 60% health in a single sequence. But once they get their one turn back, they're going to try to do their best to do that same 60%.
I can agree with that.
Hopefully.
I can agree with that. I want to go into a subtopic, but I don't want to go into it yet. But go ahead.
But yeah, it just feels very steamrolly.
I mean, yeah. Do we want to move on to characters and stuff?
Yeah, we can go. We can go into characters.
All right. Well, let me. Here, we don't. We don't plan this podcast, so I just want
We
to.
don't.
Do we want to do characters or cameos first? 'Cause it sounds like we have a lot to say about Kano.
We can do characters. I think we can save the best for last.
Let's do the new characters first. Let's talk about Johnny. I want to talk. I think he's fun. He's cool. Let's talk about
That
Johnny.
man. That man right there. The Johnny. This, like, the best way to describe him is this is MK9 Johnny. It's like straight up. Like that's exactly the best way to describe him. The fact that he has so many plus strings with, along with that fucking 9-frame mid that's being 4-3, and on top of that, like, the reason why I feel like I will almost honest to God say that I feel like he was the best character in the beta because of the fact that the strength of Johnny was amazing pressure, decent neutral, no projectile, but then you use the cameo to cover for that. And I feel like Kano did a pretty good job of that with Johnny complemented with the two, and was hence why I was saying the meta is find your character, find out what the weaknesses are, and then use the cameo to cover the weakness. And Johnny just honestly, overall, he has a move that can phase to projectile since he doesn't have a projectile, great armor, an invincible wake up, and just nonstop pressure with like I said, 3 plus all his stand 1 and stand 2 is +4, and his freaking 4-1 was +3 with a 9-frame mid. The man was crazy. Okay, the pressure was ridiculous, and I honestly feel like just, man, that character is he's definitely fun to watch though. I would say that the hype.
Yeah.
The hype and all that was just like amazing with the AAs. On top of that, with him being a star power, he's a great character to watch. He's definitely gonna be a crowd fave.
He has a lot of damage too. I feel like we should mention that.
Yeah,
we know.
That's the elephant in the room. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, Johnny to me is like, I'm a big Johnny fan. I'm gonna be honest. Like, even though I'm like a Cetrion main and I'm a big I feel like they do a good job with Johnny in every game. This is probably my favorite version of him so far. I feel like he just kind of plays like Mortal Kombat Rushdown really well. Like he's got some plus frames off his highs. He's got a 9 frame mid. He throws you a lot. He staggers you a lot. And I feel like it's really just like the damage that you might need to tweak a little bit. But even then, like it's a lot of resources you're spending, right? Like maybe people get better at like stopping him from building hype or something. And because I think there's a lot of unpunished types, hype ups, or however we want to call that, in the beta. But I think that he's really good, but I think he's kind of honest, if I'm being real. Like his best neutral tool is a high. I think that's a big weakness for a character to have, right? His forward three is great, but it doesn't go far. I think he's pretty damn well designed, to be honest.
No, definitely agree.
Yeah.
It's just I just feel like with the right cameo, he can be very diabolical, and that being that cameo, I feel like is Sector.
Oh, Sector. I'm not gonna speculate. I'm worried about now with Kano. But Cease, talk to me about Johnny.
Yeah. So I have some. My list of concerns for him are very small. I do think that he's a lot more honest than what people are trying to make him out to be.
Right.
My main concerns are Invincible Nut Punch. I don't think that's fair. And I'll speak a little bit more on that later on, but I'll go through the list first. I just think that you kind of break him up into a handful of points of as to or key points as to why he's really good. I think his movement is ridiculous. I think he had the best movement in the beta, and I think that's going to transfer over to the game. I think that this has no grounds. There's no or from what I've seen, there's no evidence to support this, but I think he's going to have some of the best movement, like top 5 in the game. That's just a hard read on my take.
It feels like it's his design, yeah.
Yeah, it feels like it's like his designs have ridiculous movement. So I think that carries a lot of his neutral. As for his neutral, though, his buttons are definitely on the stubbier end, but him having an 8-frame shadow kick it relieves him of all worries.
It's 8 frames?
Yeah. It's 8 frames. It punishes.
That's 8 frames, my boy. Trust me.
It
punishes Sento drop. It punishes subs clone punch. And that's from that's not even a point up close. That's from mid screen. It punishes whiffed Liu Kang fly kicks. It punishes literally everything. I would whiff a string with Kenshi, and I'd get shadow kicked. It's not the greatest reward, but it's so fast that you don't really have to concern yourself with. Am I really going to hit him in time? Is he going to recover? No, it's going to hit. It's 8 frames.
The reward is the knockdown and getting in.
The reward, yeah.
Yeah.
Once he's in, though, I agree that a lot of his stuff is fuzzyable. I learned that pretty quickly on because I struggled with a single Johnny and went straight to the towers. So I wasn't really too concerned with the mix, but those staggers are very real. I don't think strike throw is going to be. I think a lot of the game is built upon strike throw, but I don't think it's very strong with the way that poke or grabs are very negative on hit. There's no key to them for the most part.
We've talked about that a lot.
And so I really just kind of just took throws the entire beta. I didn't really concern myself. I was like, oh well. I have a full life bar. You can throw me 6 times and maybe I'll get concerned.
Yeah, especially with how much damage came if you were wrong on a throw, right? If you got shimmied or something, because characters hurt more in this game than 11. If you got KB'd in 11, you died, but you just kind of across the board kind of die in this game.
Yeah, and I don't think resources are a big concern for him because when we have a combination like Johnny and Kano. And I'll reference a clip I saw on Twitter this morning. I saw a 55% hype Johnny combo, which he started off of 212, and he built the 1 meter he used in the combo, and cameo is recharging at the same time. So it's not like that's really a concern. It's not like you're really worried about your resource management with cameo. It's going to come back very shortly anyways. Yeah. I don't think he has to really concern himself with resource management.
Yeah, I mean, how do we feel about resource management in general in this game? Because, I felt like I kind of always had bar and cameo. As long as you're not using, both your cameos, back to back in, a combo or in one sequence, I feel like you pretty much always have one ready to go. And as for meter, like that shit came back quick. Like I found myself
Yeah.
using a lot for reverse souls, and wake ups and whatnot, and still kind of having enough to break like once or twice a game.
Hmm.
I feel like it was pretty balanced overall. Like people's like, oh, I don't get why breakers are 3 bars. I was like, let the game develop and you guys are gonna see. And then I saw why it was. But I will ask you guys this question though: do you guys feel like it needs to be a push block for 1 bar in the game?
No.
No. Bacon?
Uh,
We'll see later
no,
on, but as it currently stands, no.
no, because I feel like in MK, like staggers are like too important, right? That
Mhm.
you can't have a mechanic that just says no, right? Like you can do that in Injustice, where in Injustice there's like a lot more like big specials that are like plus on block and like cross up situations. I think you can get away with a push block in that game. I don't think you can do it in this game where it's like very stagger based strike throw and whatnot.
I agree with that. This is speculation around that. That's why I was like, it was an interesting topic that I heard. I was like, do you want push block? I'm like, that would be interesting in MK, but like,
maybe 2 bars we'll talk, but like
Yeah,
a 2 bar
I don't think it'd be a
breaker,
healthy change.
But
yeah.
And I love push block as a mechanic. Injustice 2 was actually my favorite NRS game.
good taste.
And so when looking at that game, I think the only critiques I had of it were the large screen size and push block being 1 bar. I thought that was ridiculous, and it heavily benefited the zoners, and I think it would kind of destroy what this game is built on.
Okay, I can see that. I see that. Okay.
I'm fine
Yeah.
benefiting zoners. I think that's all right.
Shut up.
Bro, did you see Motaro assist? Like, it is not a good time to be a zoner.
Well, guess what? I'm gonna teleport behind you with Kang Lao. Anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, 3 bars being breaker, I feel like is actually perfectly fine. Like,
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about being able to break fatal blows though. Like,
No, I really like that.
you
the
do?
fact it's the first hit, so like it's like
Yeah.
you have that chance. But
Yeah, but like I also
and you
I
get to
don't
keep the fatal blow still.
I know, but I don't like the idea that there isn't a way to beat a breaker outside of like weird niche gimmicky like cameo stuff that we were seeing some clips for. Like,
Yeah, I didn't slab that situation.
I don't-
I see what you mean by that. I see what you mean by
I feel
that.
like there's not enough unbreakable damage in the game. Like, like because one thing I like about Injustice a lot is the clash mechanic, because that's something
It's the best
where
mechanic.
it's one of the best mechanics they ever made. I mean, it's something where when you get to the end of a game, like you can make the choice to keep things unclashable, and that really changes kind of the dynamics of how the game, what you're fishing for, like how you play, what confirms you're going for, and I kind of wish we had that mechanic here. I feel like there should be like if you fuck up, if you're just sitting on breaker all day and you fuck up and I have fatal blow, like I should have some option to do unbreakable damage. But if I'm in a minority here, that's fine. I'll take the L.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoy the 3 bar breaker because it feels like a double-edged sword. And I think that's a really, really good thing. I think that if you I won in neutral and I'm about to get the reward for it, but assuming I cannot get that reward, you should still be there shouldn't be like it shouldn't overall benefit you because you lost in neutral. So if you are going to get out of that combo, you should have no access to resources aside from cameo, which is fine. But like there were times where I broke and I felt like, wow, my options are very limited right now. And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah,
I don't think you should break and then still have everything on the table ready for you to use.
It's one of the only times in this game you'll ever feel like resource starved is after a break.
Yeah, and I think that's good. I think that especially coming from MK11,
Right.
where you were able to break out of combos or break away, and most of the time you were fine. I felt very confident in a lot of breakaways and being on the ground, and I was like, well, I still felt at the advantage. Not the same for this game.
All right. Want to talk about Lee May?
Oh, before we move forward,
you want to keep
actually, I just wanted to kind of revisit on Johnny Nut Punch.
Oh, it should go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, if you can get 40% off of an invincible wake up, that is actually ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how I feel in general about being able to get like combos off of armored and invincible reversals in general. Like it
It's
feels,
MKS all over again.
yeah, it feels like those should like scale like absurd amount. Like you ever
Really?
you ever get a combo off like an up 3 with like Kung Lao or something, and like you do like I think
20%.
yeah, you do like
Not
With a
even
fatal.
that.
you do like up 3 anti-air into fatal blow, and it does like 12%. Like I feel like we need that kind of scaling on the reversals.
100%.
You know, keep them in the game if you, because like I think it's kind of cool to like hit a reversal and then all right, I'm gonna spend the cameo to get myself a setup going. But yeah, you
I
shouldn't.
agree.
Off of reversal EX nut punch, people should not die.
Definitely like a page out of Street Fighter thing, like where they you do a perfect period, the scaling gets heavy, but you get the reward of either positioning or just adaptations situation. So definitely, yeah, I can agree
Right.
with that.
Right.
Yeah. I found, and this is in the later half of the beta, I found myself in so many scenarios where I was fighting Johnny players and they had learned that Nut Punch was invincible.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were testing what they could get away with. And it started out with things that are really simple in which there's counterplay for, like you do your full mid string and then you do EX Nut Punch.
Yeah.
So my mind kind of gravitated towards, okay, well, I'm just going to start grabbing because, you know, it's while it's invincible to everything else, it's not grab invul.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of the first layer of it. But then they realized it has invincibility frames. Why am I not doing it through his gaps? And so now I'm getting full comboed for trying to apply offense in any scenario. And for a lot of people that aren't aware, Kenshi is littered with gaps through every one of his strings, whether it's in Sento stance or not. 4-2-2, back 2-2, 2-1-2. In Sento stance, forward 1-1-2, forward 2-2-1. In forward 2-2-1, it has two gaps, you know, and that's his main string. So I'm glad that there's counterplay. I don't think the gap should be gone. I think that it's just a problem with Nut Punch because why am I terrified to apply offense, especially when the reward is very minimal if I call it out. If I do a stagger and I bait the Nut Punch, Kano knives are still coming at me regardless because they're going to OS it into what they think is a launching scenario. I'm going to at best get a down one punish. I can never take my turn and then expect big reward out of it. If that's going to be the mind game at play, I think it's definitely a play like it's just a free play like shit mechanic.
Yeah, I mean, I
You
do
better
think.
click the button or something.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that you should. Sometimes you should probably die if you're trying to do offense with gaps in it, right? Like if you're going for a lot of options that they have gap, like those strings have gaps in there for a reason, right? And you know, but I think it's more so I'm not as worried about that, because like you can also flawless block a lot of gaps and kill them for it that way.
You can flawless block like strings mid-string, which is actually crazy. When I was finding that out on the fly, I was like, man.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like they have the same buffer that MK11 had.
Yeah, you can definitely like flawless block in between. That shit was weird.
Yeah, but like, to me, it's the like on block, I'm -5, but I'm gonna reversal here, and then I'll do like 40%. Like that's to me is where the problem is. But
Understandable.
Yeah, all around is just not very good. I don't think it's a very healthy thing to incorporate in Johnny's kit, especially because he's already so good on offense.
Yeah, and
if he also has really good defense, then you know where's his weak point at?
Yeah, I think it's also like a carryover from like how Nut Punch behaved previously, because I think it's invincible. Like EX Nut Punch is invincible in like 9, and Cassie's is in X.
Yeah.
But those didn't launch. You know?
Exactly.
This one launches. It's just crazy.
Right.
And it's not even, honestly, I'm willing to say that like it's not even the fact that it launches, it's that it OSs as pressure.
Right, with
because
knives.
because you're not getting like a ridiculous punish on it. If it launched and it was invincible, you might have room to say, well, just block it, right? Because his only other option out of pressure would be EX Shadow Kick, and you can also block that and punish. but it's like, what's stopping them from, as long as they have cameo and meter, to just always nut punch, no matter what?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure when we get to the lab, we'll like find very niche punishes for stuff like, oh, this punishes and beats Kano 9s or something like that, right? But I doubt it'll ever be like the full big boy, like you die that you should take for going for like a reversal like that.
Yeah, there's a specific scenario that I can't remember exactly who. It might have been Rewands, and he was talking about his set with Sonic that he played over the beta. But he said that he conditioned Sonic so bad with the X Nut Punch that he did the full mid string 5 times in a row on block. And it's like, yeah, it's like, what are we doing here? So
Yeah.
that's all I have to say about Nut Punch.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good conversation to have about Nut Punch. Want to talk about Lee May because she's kind of cool. She's neat.
She's interesting. Okay, she was the first. She was a character I saw. I was like, okay, you're cute. Then I saw the lantern, and I'm like, wait a second, the lantern's kind of cool. Wait, whoa. She's definitely a character where, and this is how I feel about like a lot of characters in the game. Where I'm gonna see like a lot of characters in the game, I feel like are going to be, you see them, you know, okay, they're not too bad, but then with the right cameo, oh, they're great, and that's why I feel like she really was. She was like, all right, you're not too bad as a character. And then I saw her with Frost. I'm like, okay, you can be a bit of a challenge here, maybe. And then you just think about like, man, there's only 4 cameos right now. What are you gonna do with other cameos when you have that included? Because her base kit is, like I said, it's not too bad, but like that cameo is just really just give us a chef kiss. So yeah, overall, I'm like her. I didn't think I was gonna be interested in her in the beginning, but after seeing her play against her for a little bit, I was like, you know what, this character's kind of nice.
Yeah, she definitely seems like a character that needs like a capture state out of her cameo. Otherwise, the forward 4-3 just doesn't. It's just not practical.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases.
Agreed.
Any thoughts on Lee Macy's?
Lee May, I agree with the same thoughts as Tento. I think that her not having a Hicken Brimble mid is a little lackluster, but I think with the right cameo that'll change. We'll give Cyrex, for example. If you can, out of pressure, like let's say you do plus frames into your back 2, and somehow in that sequence you buffer into Cyrex's helicopter, that could be your Hicken Brimble ability. So that might change in the long run. That my only complaint now is that she's looking a little weaker compared to the rest of the cast, but not far behind by any means.
I mean, I do think that as like she got better as the beta developed, right? Like I think people were getting better with her plus frames and just how that offense worked. I think her overhead flip kick thing when you instant air it is really good. I mean, that's like one of the few overheads where it's just like, yeah, I'm just gonna get hit by that. No, not much I can say. Like that's just gonna hit me when the game comes out. I also think that people thought they were so cool whenever they posted the lantern BNB mid-screen BNB on Twitter. I saw that combo like 20 fucking times on my timeline. It got really annoying. But then on the last day, people were doing like setups with it where they were like comboing off for 4-3 and shit. And I was like, oh, this is getting more interesting now. So.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely, she's definitely felt like the bottom half of the beta build, but, I mean, she's got plus frames and really good damage and some set play. I think that there's options there for sure.
Yeah, I think it's looking good for. And one last thing I'll add to that is that I think she surprisingly has really good. She's really good at playing defensively. Just by setting up Lantern and reducing your options of advancing in. And I think her pokes being very good on top of that kind of set her up in a really good position. I think moving forward, the Lee May players are going to be pretty good.
Yeah, she reminds me of Black Canary a lot from Injustice 2. Just like not really having great buttons to hit, but kind of good offense when you get in. She just doesn't have Scream like Canary had, but...
a weaker Canary, if you will. I can see that.
But I mean, who needs Scream when you have Kano Ball, or whatever Frost is doing.
Yeah, it's definitely like I feel like the character is like she just needs the right cameo. Like I feel like actually, like if we being completely honest here, I feel like she's actually how I would say most of the characters should be in the game, and the cameo just adds on to it. Like that's how I feel like she is. Like I feel like every character should be around, like based like how Lee May is, and then the cameo adds to the accessory of like you said, the weaker mid or the lack of like slight range, like things like that. Yes, that's why I feel like it should be like.
Agreed.
Okay, those are the only two new characters from the stress test, right?
Yeah. So I guess like if we don't need to spend as much time, I think, on the beta characters, but I know I got a lot more time with than I did in the stress test, because I didn't get in. I was doing getaways to get into that stress test. So
yeah, I was a CEO and I was just
I was at
chilling and I played a little bit.
I was at Ignite.
You were lucky.
Yeah. Let's talk about Kenshi. Let's just do it. Let's rip the Band-Aid off. Let's talk about Kenshi.
You guys are gonna go into it more because you guys played the character. Like I said, me personally, like overall, what I was seeing is I feel like overall he's balanced. The only thing that's OD to me is his movement. On top of him having Sento is like, whoa, oh man, that man was like seeing Hayate do his wave dash with that character. I was like, that is I literally saw like flashes, like you said wait till it gets into the twins hand. Someone with something and he back-winded, and I was like, oh, this is he's playing this type of game. I'm like, I'm having slight fusion flashbacks here, but he's definitely a character where I feel like overall he's okay because one, you can't use a cameo while Sento is out, and Sento is actually limited to certain things that I didn't realize, and I will realize more when I actually get to lab the game. So honestly, I feel like he's not too crazy. But then again, like I said, I haven't played like a crazy good Kenshi yet. So yeah.
I think for me about Kenshi and what makes him like kind of fair in my eyes is that normal Kenshi and his normal stance is like fine, like he's okay. I don't think he's anything too special. His zoning's like the overhead slash has a lot of recovery if you jump it. The charge thing, like I feel like that's gonna get armored a lot. But then he hit confirms in the frost slide, and then goes into Sento and hits that sandwich ender, and all of a sudden he's the best character in the game, right? He's block infiniting you. He's got 50-50. He's got all this shit. And then once the cameo goes away and he's stuck in Sento stance without the spirit, all of a sudden he's the worst character in the game. And it's really hard for him to safely get back into the regular stance, So he's a character with big highs and big lows. Does that echo your thoughts, Cease?
Yeah, I think overall, I share the exact same thoughts. But I have a little differing opinion on some things. I think his zoning is really weak. I don't want it to be better. I think his zoning is really weak, though. I think the moment we have access to a practice mode, that character is going to bump down at least a tier. Because while he is always going to be, if he maintains the same, like if they don't nerf anything about Sento, he's always going to be a top 5 character the moment he's in Sento.
Right.
There's no way around that. But I think he is clearly a significantly weaker character in all states outside of Sento, outside of being like in the sandwich position. I think there's plenty of counterplay, and even while in Sento, like the infinite, like I had not a single person try to flawless block any of that, which would negate all chip. And no one gave it an attempt. But once once people get a practice mode, that's gonna be that. I think the mix is very real though, and I think it's very obnoxious and very strong, and so obviously it benefits that. But I just think he's littered with too many gaps. I don't think his zoning isn't great. I think his neutral's phenomenal. His movement is phenomenal. But yeah, I think he's a perfect character, like a perfectly designed character right now. I would be like devastated, even though I don't really plan to play him like that. But when the game comes out, I would be devastated if he got changed from where he's currently at.
He feels like a better version of what they were trying to do with like MKX Summoner Quan. A character that like if they get going, they can kind of just kill you, but they can kind of also get bullied in a lot of other stages of the game.
Mhm.
He feels like that, but like not an obnoxious design. You know?
Yeah, I think they did a really good job of designing him. But those are my thoughts on Kenshi.
What cameos were you using? 'Cause I think like Kano, because he had like some options between Kano and Frost. I think he kind of needs one that helps him combo into Sento stance, but he had two in the beta. I was using Frost mostly. Was that the same for you, or?
Yeah, I only use Frost during the beta because I use Kano during the stress test. I think the most important thing about the character is getting into the sandwich position
Right.
from
You can't play Sonya
any.
on him.
Yeah, yeah. Fun fact: you can actually combo into Sento with Sonya.
That's funny.
Yeah, you actually do your 141 into the aerial, like little laser or little onion ring, and then you bring it out and you do, I don't know, you do some like stand two and or like Sento stand two. But you can get a full combo from that end, but just you don't end it in a sandwich position.
Oh, well, never mind.
Yeah, so it's not that good, is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
But I think the most important thing is that you get from any position of non-Sento stance into Sento stance into sandwich. I think that's what the whole character is built on. That's why Frost was the best option. You can't really use Kano like that right now or anymore.
Right. You kind of get you can't you gotta like you kind of gotta be up in there to get the Kano links going. Whereas Frost, like that free stay is enough that like you can get like max range 4-2s, and there's ways to get into that spot where it's not really the case for Kano.
I wanted to ask Tento, how do you feel as a non-Kenshi user fighting against Kenshi? I know you said that you didn't fight many, if any, good Kenshis throughout the beta, but assuming you got any experience, how do you feel about Kenshi?
Yeah, like I said, like I wasn't playing any crazy goals. Like towards the end, I played one. I was like, okay, I got to think a little bit here, but like overall, like it was like okay, so explaining to you how Sento works exactly. Like what can't he do other than the cameo call when he's in Sento? Because I noticed. Wait, okay, go ahead.
So when Sento's out, he has like 4 attacks from it, right? He's got like the single hit, the double hit, the like I think it's like 3 or 4 that knocks down, and the launcher. And he can do that like while he's blocking, or he can tell it not to do it, right? It just hits a button and it comes out. What if he I think if he gets hit, it goes on cooldown, and if you hit the spirit itself, that goes on cooldown. So you can like down one the spirit, and he'll like take a knee. That's why that sandwich position is so powerful. The big thing is you just gotta not be near the clone, right?
Okay.
That's the biggest thing. You gotta down one it when it is near you, or because if he doesn't have the clone like in a position to apply it, he has no specials. Just like the only special he has is the rising. He can spend a bar to get the spirit back, but it's not set up if you do it like that.
Okay.
And he's got like Cease was saying, a lot of gaps in his stuff. A lot of his stuff's unsafe, and he has no reversal. Is a big thing.
Okay, yeah, and that's why I noticed. It was just so funny when you had said that, because you like when the Sento was not there, he can't do anything.
Yeah,
I remember that match I was playing with the dude. He was just sitting there blocking, fidgeting. I was getting closer to him, like, "What are you doing?" I'm looking at the Sento, and I'm like, the Sento was behind me trying to like slash me. I'm like, "Oh, you can't do anything."
Yeah.
Oh man, I was having a ball. I was like, so that's why I was like, okay. Overall, it's like the objective is if you can get a throw and get him away from Sento, then you're fine. Pretty much.
Yeah, it's so hard to get out of that stance.
Like, so that's why I'm like, okay, then I'm like, so overall, I don't feel like the character's too crazy in that regard, because it's simple. Like, even if I'm playing a good one, I'm like, if I get a throw and I get you away from Sento, you're in trouble. Like, you have to make a read on my offense. So I'm like, okay, so it's fine. So that's why I'm like, overall, I'm like, I didn't feel like Kenshi, even if I played a good one, I'm like, okay, I can look at tapes and then realize, okay, I could have just did this, or I just need to do that when you have Sento out. So yeah, it wasn't too bad for me, in my opinion.
Yeah,
he's not too bad of a character to fight against.
Yeah.
Cameo.
What other? Yeah, cameo. Do you want to move towards cameos, or do you want to?
we got like 3 other characters, right?
Well, the beta characters, Katana's Katana. You know, she was obviously the weakest one. You know, like, well, I wouldn't even say weakest. It's just like the only person I saw doing anything with Katana really was Dragon, and that's because he fucking works at NetherRealm. Like, he was the only person I see cheating. He was the only person I saw like actually doing stuff for Katana. So I was like, she's a character. Also, like I feel like you need the right cameo. Like she's fine base, but like she just needs the right cameo.
And I don't think the right cameos in this build for her.
Definitely, that's what I'm saying. Like so, like same thing with Lee May. Like Lee May, the false cameo was nice, but like those two characters, I feel like especially like there's when I say the right cameo, I'm not even talking about the 4 we had. I'm talking about the full roster. Like they need the full roster cameos to fully get that big thing out of him. Sub was Sub. You know, he has mix, but he also has a very strong mid, very decent strike throw as well, and he has ice clones. Ice clones.
Well, let's stay on Katana for a little bit.
Okay, you're right.
Yeah, go ahead. Makes timestamps easier. Yeah, I mean Katana. I was playing with her a little bit just because I want to try everyone. I think I like Instant Air Fan. Like I like the way she does this little swoop down to make it baby mode instant airs. I thought that was funny. But I also feel like she was the most even though she was in the stress test, she feels the most unexplored. Cause I feel like when it like 3 years from now,
he's boring.
Yeah, but like 3 years from now, when like people really figure out how to play that character, I feel like everything's just gonna go into set play with her. Whereas people weren't really doing that in that beta. And I think part of that is you don't have the right cameos to get it going, but I think the set play could be really strong.
Definitely.
Being able to get the combos off throws and stuff like that.
When I saw that fan bomb, I was like, what the heck is this? I tried to slide through and I was like, wait, no, what is this? I was like, the hell?
You can do like Devora stuff where you combo off throws with it too.
Yeah, that thing was crazy.
Yeah, so I'm patiently gonna be watching what happens with Katana as the game develops. I think she could be a lot better than we think she is.
Agreed. I think she already gets good damage. I think her mids have a ton of range. I wish her mid would be a little bit faster, not obnoxiously, not obnoxious.
She's got like a 12 and 15 frame mid, I think. Right?
Yeah, I don't know about the 12 frame. Maybe it's because it might be crap and it wasn't used.
Yeah, it wasn't the stabby one. It was the other one.
But her 15 could be like a 13, you know. At best, it could be a 12, but that's pushing it.
I think 15's good. I think you just make the 12 frame better, you know.
Okay.
Well, we'll see.
And I think her setups are going to be explored more with the right cameo, but as of right now, we've already seen like really good potential, and once we get access to a practice mode, that'll be better for her. But yeah, I think her only weak points are her zoning is pretty crap. I don't fear that because it's always highs.
Yeah, it's more for the space control than like actually winning with zoning.
Yeah,
you know, because I think Instant Air Fan's good, but it's not gonna. You don't build a game plan around it.
100%.
Yeah.
And I think that's really about it for my thoughts on Katana. I didn't see too much. I only played the only memorable Katana I fought throughout the entire beta was Plural Might, and he's on some weird like adventure to try and make that character work, even though he like has no intention of playing her the moment the game releases. But you know, he was solid, and I saw some set play from him, and I think the character has potential for anyone who wants to main her.
Yeah. All right, Sub-Zero. Let's talk about him.
Yeah, my character.
All right,
I had a good time with that guy. Okay. No, Sub is Sub. You know, he definitely has his remnants of MK11 with the mix, but the overhead, as you said earlier, was like 26 frames. It's definitely fuzzyable and easy to react to. Actually, really, to be honest. But it was Ice Clone for real for me. Like Ice Clone is not as obnoxious as it was before, but it's still the threat. You know, like being able to take a projectile with it, and you can throw your ice ball out, and as well as his slide being actually dummy, like really good in my opinion. And also like he has an armored launcher off the slide too, where it side switches, and you can call in your assists and get a decent damage, and set up another clone for more situations. Sub felt very appropriate, and a lot of people were complaining about his ice ball. I remember his ice ball doesn't combo anything. I'm like, that's perfect. That's the point of it. Like I'm actually fully agree that he can't do a single string into ice ball and it combos. Like that's actually I feel like the way to go. Like it should be you're not supposed to be throwing ice ball out in neutral. They made it really snow, so there was a lot of times where I was trying to throw ice ball because of muscle memory from past games. and I'm getting beat out before I can even get the startup going. So I really actually like the direction Ice Ball is in this game, and overall, I just feel like he's great design, great mid, punishable pokes, of course. Overhead low mix, but they're both like they're not too terrible. Being a low launcher that's safe though, I will say is kind of crazy. I will say that though. I was like, man, that's -7.
Yeah, it's also I think it's a double hitting low, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that makes it harder to fuzzy it. You kind of just have to react.
Yeah, that was kind of crazy. I do admit. I was like the fact that he has it because he can also launch off of stand 3-4. Too, it does the same like pop up as back to the low string as well. So that being -7, I was like being a launch -7 is kind of crazy. I will say that. But overall, I like the character. He felt nice. He felt nice.
The clone charge feels fucked up to me.
The clone.
The clone charge.
Ooh,
Oh.
yeah.
That move feels fucked up. Like clone
It is. I wasn't using it enough. I will say that. In the beginning, I wasn't using ice clone, but that clone charge is definitely something. I will say that.
If you can't punish clone charge, or if he just like does it behind, ice clone, that's an obnoxious move.
It is
Decently fast mid that a hard knockdown too. That sets up another clone.
Like that
move is OD.
That's gonna be a high at launch, right? Like,
I think it's his most obnoxious move by far, but I don't think for right now. I don't think making that a high at launch is the right direction to go.
I can agree with that. Not because I played the character.
Yeah. I think once we see the rest of the cast and how it operates with the rest of the cast, because we don't know what the options are for everyone else. I do agree though that by far Sub-Zero has the most utility out of every character we've seen.
yeah, he has. I don't know if he had the most specials, but it felt like it, right? Like he had like the clone charge, clone dive kick, slide, like.
I forgot about dive kick. I was not using dive kick in combos.
You should have been using dive kick, dude.
I was using Sonya assist with him, so it messed up. The gravity got kind of messed up when I used square boot in the air. And when I used dive kick combos, so I was mostly using dive kick only for scenarios to change my jump arc and to throw off people in jump ins, but not really in combos.
Right.
That was the thing about it because I was using a lot of gravity that needed for the Sonya that the Sonya assist would kind of miss. When I launched, so if I use dive kick, so I was like, yeah, nah.
Did you not try Kano and Sub-Zero?
No, I didn't because I didn't want to be like everybody else, and I could just see what everybody else was doing. I was like, let me just explore with Sonya, but then also it's just like and it's also a personal vindictive. I hate Kano, like just a personal thing for me. I just really hate the character from 11. So
yeah.
I definitely was just the kind of and I like I said I constantly had to fight him with what's it called with Johnny and stuff. Is like I kind of felt what I needed to do if I were to play him, so I wanted to explore other options. Like what can Sonya actually do in these situations? You know, like just wanted to go from that feel. Like what can she do with her projectile, square boot, or with what's it called, leg grab? Like what's the thing she can do? That's all.
Yeah, okay. I think being able to like. Essentially hit confirm EX slide is something that makes Sonya really good. Good for that because you kind of have to preemptively bring the knives out if you're going to be doing that with a sub, and even then you might want to do the Kano ball instead to make yourself safe. But
yeah, square boots was definitely like one that I can see what you mean by that.
Yeah. There's some trade off there, but I don't think it's a throw not going Kano on him for sure.
Yeah, I think there's so much potential like and same thing for the most of the cast, but more so on him. I think he has the most potential with cameo combinations. Because there's just a ridiculous amount of utility that all his moves currently have, and I think. Did you guys manage to see that tech that Ludi put up?
Yeah.
You about the 50-50?
The like medium clone stuff? Yeah.
So, little fun story here. I actually saw something that looked exactly or very similar to that on stream at one point, and it was a Sub-Zero plan where they jumped over someone on meaty and then they did the overhead and cannonball. And so I told Ludi to go. I was like, hey, maybe there's something in the lab there. Oh. And he went, and so he found that it was able to work like that. I think the fact that you're able to OS this scenario where not only do you mix, but you continue to pressure and you safely put out clone, and it OSs is everything there, because if they were to block that, you're still reset neutral with a clone in front of you and your plus. It's like,
That's hilarious.
yeah, it's
It
like
is-
that's
That is laughable. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, you're right.
It seems good, but it's also kind of cool, so I'll allow it. You know?
Yeah, and it just looks really cool because it happens so
Yeah.
fast. Like I didn't even think it would work, to be honest. But I was telling Lydia, I was like, hey, so this scenario happened where he crossed up someone and he did the overhead string, and Cannonball hit in between the string, but it still launched. So I was like,
Yeah.
it didn't splat when Cannonball hit. I was like, I'm curious if you can just do the clone and it combos, and then you just have this ridiculous OS. And he's like, okay. And then 30 minutes later, he's like, see, so it worked. And so, you know, and props to him. He made a really good video. You guys should go check that out if you haven't.
Yeah.
I forgot what his YouTube is, but I'm sure you can find it by just typing in.
You can go to
Rudy MK.
episode 3 of the podcast and check the description where Ludi was a guest, and you can
Oh,
find it.
nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when that clip was going out, and I was like watching a clip and like, okay, this makes sense. But then I was like, I looked at the combo counter and I'm like, wait, where did that extra hit come from? Like,
Yeah.
where the fuck did he get hit?
Yeah. That was crazy. That
It
was
was
crazy.
pretty cool, but like that, I'm excited. That stuff's exciting, you know. Like I feel like
100%.
MK11 had this. There's this really bad trend on MK11 Twitter where every time something like weird or like some unorthodox interaction happened at MK11, like people shit on it on Twitter.
hmm
And I'm glad that people are like, okay, this is kind of cool. Like in this game, I want that to stay. I want people to be excited when like weird, strange things happen in fighting games, because I think that's something that makes them fun.
Would you like to know an exact example of that always makes me laugh?
Yes, hit me.
It's when people first learns that Gearus's 2-4-1 string, where he does that.
Yeah, it hits on both sides.
Hits on both sides.
Like, man.
Someone had jumped over and they got hit on the opposite side.
Like, brother,
And
he's doing double
Everyone was up in
Yes.
flames, and I was like, "What are you guys talking
It's-
about?"
it's
I was
a
like, "He
double
literally
fist.
uses both his hands on both
Yes.
sides."
Dude.
I was like, "Yeah, it's kind of goofy when you like first think
Yeah.
of like when you first see it at face value, but it's
When
like
you give it some
that's the
thought.
intention of the game. It's like, yeah, it's like
Yeah,
he's literally
yeah.
hitting with both hands. It'd be weird if he didn't knock you down on the
Yeah.
other side.
And then you
Same
see-
thing with rope dart
Yeah, you
and
see.
freaking scorpions.
Yeah.
Like, dig.
I've had people like jump my 2-1-2 with Cetrion and try to hit it out of its active frames, and they get hit from behind. And I'm like, yeah, it's a fiery tornado. What angle do you think you can hit me at?
It's just exact scenarios like that. So I agree in the same department. I'm in the same department
Yeah.
as like, let's let the weird interactions rock for a little bit. Depending on how effective these weird interactions are, we'll talk about if they should be removed or
Yeah,
not.
no
Oh,
more.
weird.
No more Twitter clips where you get hit by a weird hitbox and then immediately rage quit and then post it on Twitter. No more.
Yeah.
No more of that. We're done.
Speaking of weird hitboxes, though, there was I kind of saw this coming though. But you remember the bugs where there's certain
Oh,
scenarios where you when you
big
had
boys?
a throw with your cameo and then you glitch out into the place of the cameo. I kind of saw that one coming, but man, because it's like we're as you guys know, Mortal Kombat is a 3D game that pretends to be a 2D game.
Right.
So do you have a lot of? I kind of figured that was going to happen, but man, how many times y'all saw the Sonya throw and she's just literally DD&T and nobody? I'm just like, oh god, this is
Yeah.
that's a bug that I know they're gonna look at, but I still feel like it's gonna happen in tournament. There was actually one time there was a property Sonic had did back one with Kenshi, and it hit, but the Frost cameo whip and he got full combo punished. He was heated, bro. That motherfucker was mad, bro. I was like, Jesus Christ. So yeah, there's definitely some elements where I know they need to look at the cameos when they come in, because the transition from 3D and 2D right there with the small like implications I saw with like a little hit or something going on in the background can force that situation and be like
Yeah.
utterly crazy. So that's
Yeah.
something that definitely needs to be looked
Yeah,
at.
there's that. There's the lighting bug with like fatal
Yes.
blows. That
The
came
lighting
up
bug
a
was
lot.
very annoying.
That was
It was
very
dark
annoying.
as shit, and like it's dark as shit in that T stage, bro. I was like, bro, I'm shadow boxing. This looks cool, but like, no, I can't see.
No.
Yeah, that
but-
was one of those things where it would happen against Sub-Zero, and I can't see what you're doing. Like I can react to that overhead, but not when it's dark. You know,
Man,
Not
I
when
can
the-
react. No, I'm
Yeah.
cool with Sub-Zero. I'm afraid that happens with Smoke, bro.
I felt like I was back on what's that like the raining
Shadow
stage in
Temple?
MKX? Yeah.
Or-
Oh, Sky Temper.
Sky
Sky
Temple.
Temple,
My
yeah.
bad. That's the Shadow
Jesus
Temple.
Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was worried
yeah.
more about that with Smoke though, rather than
That's
Sub,
the
but
exact
yeah.
reference I made when it happened. I was in a voice chat with just some friends, and I was
It
like, it
looks
feels like infected Sky Temple.
Yeah.
Like it looks cool. Don't get me wrong, but I was like, fucking hell. Like I'm like, it's getting dark. I'm getting kind of spooked. Like,
yeah, and
bro.
all the stages are so bright and colorful and so pretty to look at. Like I don't want it to be dark. But yeah, I'm sure that's already fixed though. You know,
Yeah.
like this build is old. You know, any build that we get our hands on has been QA'd to shit and tested and whatnot, and is probably like months old at this point. So
Yeah.
I'm not too worried about it.
And remind me to talk about that a little bit more once we're outside of this podcast. But
Ooh, we
Yeah.
we love these deets. All right, Liu Kang? Is that the last one, Liu Kang?
last character wise, we went to cameos for a bit, but character wise, like Lou, I saw a lot of complaints about Lou actually, and I was like, bro, what? It was like he ain't got no mids. Bro, he has all these high strength. I'm like, bro. He has a launching mid that's safe. That's a pretty good stagger in my opinion. He has 4-4, also a pretty good stagger on top of that. What was the craziest thing that happened to me when I was fighting Lou? And I was like, this character is like his. First off, I feel like he has like one of the best zoning out of everybody because, especially with Kano assist, you throw low fireball and you throw the knives, and you got to take the extra chip from the knives because you got to block the low fireball. And on top of that, if he's holding Kano ball, you're waiting for it to come to you. So that means just zoning it up while you're blocking. Like, I feel like people were just honestly using Lou wrongly. They expected him. It was too much of like they expected MK11 Lou, and I'm like, bro, this is a different game. It's not the same as how he was before. Like that was a thing.
Counterpoint. He kind of is MK11 Lou.
Other than the 4-4, elaborate on that one.
I mean, I feel like he just kind of does the same stuff. You know, he doesn't have like the set play that other characters got. He doesn't get like a ton of crazy new options. He's just he's got an advancing high, which he didn't have. Well, I guess he had one too, but
I'm gonna say, did you get that 1, 2, 3? The greatest wake up of all time.
yeah, he kind of just like staggers, throws you, and kind of throws fireballs and like an extension of his neutral. You know, he wasn't that saucy. You know what I mean? He had longer combos, but yeah, I do think you can probably get sauce out of him with some cameos, like not even just Kano stuff, but like get like a knockdown into like the Jack stuff we saw a lot in stress test, or like a frost bomb. But yeah, I don't know. He was I thought he had good fireballs. He looked cool.
He's a character.
Yeah, he's the box art guy. You know.
I think he was the most lackluster in terms of just general gameplay design, and then also on top of that, just like sauce, you know. And so I think people were playing him wrong in the beta. I think the only person who I saw like off rip that was playing him correctly was Slayer.
You said Slayer?
Slayer.
Interesting.
Off rip, who was playing him correctly was Slayer, even though I think Slayer plays like shit. And he knows what I'm talking about. And I'll actually explain it a little bit more. Not literally though, I love Slayer. And then Wise started towards the end of the beta because he was going through an absolute crisis. He was just he was melting down at the fact that like he didn't know how the character operated. He's finally started to get it. I think this character benefits off of two things. Number one, it is the long ass animation for his armored little wind kicks, little like flutter kicks, if you will.
I love how that move looks. By the way, that move looks beautiful.
It looks great, yeah. And so in like tying that in, you're able to make it safe or plus with Kano Ball. That's the mind game there. I think the character and how the gameplay is going to evolve from here forward and how it should evolve, I think this is the most effective way to play the character, is that you need to zone with him really well and meter build till you have a decent amount of meter. And once you do, you go in and just do everything to maintain your turn. By that, I mean you do plus frames into a mid check string. You hit confirm off that. If they block it, then you just armor, and you keep yourself safe with Cannonball with the armor. You're able to call it and then keep yourself safe. And if once the set play kind of makes its way in, you're able to make that Cannonball plus, and you continue to keep taking your turn until you are out of meter. Eventually, someone is going to try and press, because who wants to wait through 15 seconds of pressure?
No one.
And you want to kind of expand on those opportunities. But I just think too many people agree. I agree with Bacon that everyone's trying to play him like MK11, and that's not the character he is, because he is most in tune with what a cameo is going to make him. I think he has a little bit of everything, but all of it's just a tiny little lackluster. The only thing right now he is going from his damage and a good armor move.
That boy can hit for real.
Yeah, damage and an armor move, and I think that's really about it. Because I think his zoning kind of sucks. I know everyone's praising the zoning because he's got a really fast mid projectile, but everything else is reactable.
Yeah,
I really like this. Oh, good. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think zoning in general just hasn't been that strong so far. I want to see, full disclosure.
You're a zoning connoisseur. I forgot about that.
Full disclosure, we are filming before the Rain combat cast, so maybe Setchiron 2 is in there, or maybe Setchiron's just in this game.
It's not happening. You're not getting there.
But yeah, like there's fireballs in the game, but they're not as scary as I think some people I've seen reacting. Like I saw someone say Johnny's not good because he gets zoned out, and that's just like he just doesn't.
That's a funny statement.
But yeah. Anything else we want to say about the characters before we move on to cameos, or do we just want to talk about Kano for like half an hour?
I was just gonna. Holy words were not coming out of my mouth for a second. I was just going to say that by Slayer playing like shit, I meant that he was just armoring after everything into Cannonball, into armor, into Cannonball, into more mash.
He played Kung Jin. Like if you seen him play MKX Kung Jin, then you understand.
No, I've seen him.
Playing like shit is sometimes the best compliment.
And put some respect on his name. That's 7th best in Mortal Kombat X.
That was 7th best. He was doing that with Kung Jin. Exactly. You cannot deny that. Like he did that with Kung. That man was traveling the world with Kung Jin. Crazy work.
Oh, that kills me every time I mention it. Every time I mention it, I'm like, oh, that's
Yomi
the best.
member, dude. The last surviving Yomi.
Just God, man, he really did that.
All right, let's talk about Kano. Who wants to start?
Stupid goddamn cameo. He's so versatile, and I already knew this off rip. Like, oh, everyone's gonna use him now. I saw what he was doing with Johnny. I'm like, bro, I know he's not gonna be the best cameo. Like, that's the thing about it. Like, he just has so many good things going on with him. Like laser eye, we're not even gonna talk about laser eye. It's whatever.
Unsafe.
Knife toss. Oh man, like the things you can set up with knife toss, was just utterly just incredible to me. But it was really Kano Ball. The fact that you can bait it and you can like literally, it's literally like you're holding a gun and you can just walk and rob people wherever you want to do, and then be like, okay, the gun was fake, and then you just run off. Like, bro, I hated it. Like, I really did fucking hate that move, but incredibly strong, so versatile, and great combo extensions, and he just, in my opinion, Kano was the best character in the goddamn beta. Like that's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
Cease, your thoughts?
I think, well, I got to experience Kano in the stress test quite a bit, and so I got all my anger out there. I didn't come in with the same mindset to the beta because I already knew what I was expecting. I actually was more frustrated this time around with Johnny Nut Punch, but we've already discussed that.
Mm-hmm.
So Kano this time,
it's the Johnny Kano combo, So
yeah.
He's still kicking.
Kano takes everything that a character is good at and expands it 2 times, or just really amplifies everything. I don't think it's, and I'm going to say this now, I think Kano is everything you could want in an assist, but there are going to be a handful of outliers when the game releases that are a little bit better than him. I still think we're going to see lots of Kano just because he's what could you want more than that? The only times we're not going to see Kano is if a certain cameo just does exactly what he does but better, or specifically works better with your character.
Or like a Lee May situation.
Yeah, like a
Where
Lee May
she really
situation,
wants
exactly.
like a freeze or something.
And so but I wasn't too concerned with it this time around because I realized like the worst that most characters can do is just grab me after Cannonball. So I really just held block, and whenever I chose to, I armored through. I took a very patient approach to it, so I wasn't as irritated with this time around. Coming from MK11 from the stress test, I wanted to mash on everything. I was like, okay, well, he just did Cannonball, so it's got to be my turn, right? Like he just did a mid and then Cannonball. Nope, he used plus. So that's why I was frustrated there. But like I said, this time around, not too bad. I still think he's very strong and the best character we've seen. Character emphasis on character because I think he.
It's a good bit. I like this bit. We can keep going.
But yeah, he's well, I wasn't too frustrated. It's all just mids. You know, it's just continuous pressure. And as long as you have good defense for everything else those characters offered, you kind of got around it for the most part.
Yeah, I think for me, Kano knives are really good, but I don't think their power level is like too high for the game. Right? Like they feel like what people would want out of an assist, you know, like being able to extend like a lot of strings like that. Like Kano knives feels good for the game, right? I feel like a lot of characters are gonna really use that well. It's not. I don't think they're like a super great like pressure tool just because they're highs and they're pretty slow. So I'm totally fine with Kano knives. I think that's great for the game. You know, that's strong, but it's a good strong. I think Kano Ball should probably be a summon, right? Like you strike a pose, but you can still hold it. You know, I think because I feel like Kano, like their identity, it seems to me like they want him to be like a preemptively set up kind of character where you know you can do like some of the things you can do with Sonya where you can combo off like juggles and stuff, but you got to call those knives in early, right?
Yeah.
You can't if you want to combo off EX slides, those knives need to already be there. I feel like they should just lean into that with Kano Ball and be like, yeah, you can use Kano Ball to make you safe on everything, but you gotta summon it first and then do your block string, right? Like you can summon it, but you can still hold it after and like act. I feel like that if they did that, I'd be fine. It's just that you can just go into your unsafe mix or whatever thing you want, or like you were talking about with like armor, and then call it like mid animation. That's a little silly for a mid. A mid ambush is a little silly.
See, now we're on the discussion of these hypothetical nerfs, and I do want to provide some input onto that.
Yeah, I saw your Twitter. I know I got opinions on this.
I think that I made a tweet on Twitter or on X. Okay, I made a post on X.
Twitter in here.
All right. I made a tweet on Twitter the other day where I said that knives should be a summon, and I took that back, and I genuinely believe that. I don't think they should be a summon. I think there's two ways you can go about nerfing Kano if that's just the ultimatum that we've come down to. Like it needs to be nerfed and it needs to be nerfed properly. But I don't want to destroy it because I think that it should just be balanced, right? There's two factors to it. We've only seen the two issues are Cannonball and knives. We've already discussed that. So if we're gonna nerf anything out of them, if we're gonna nerf Cannonball, I think that knives should be let alone. I think they would be fine if we're nerfing Cannonball. If we do nerf Cannonball, I think the only thing we should take away from it is the fact that it can be held. I think the fact that you can hold it and do some really silly gimmicks and then continue to hold it and follow that gimmick up by not just continuing to do more gimmicks because the fear that Cannonball is going to come your way is there. I think that's one way you can go about it. You just remove the fact that you can hold Cannonball. It just needs to be a single timed input and it comes at one exact time. You can't hold it. You can't just get away with things for free. Alternatively, I think if you were to nerf the knives, I just think that the scaling should be significantly higher.
Yeah,
Sure.
I just feel like with knives, like the knives is the fun part. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
that's just they're just cool. You know, I want that to like be good and be a thing. I you know that it feels like it opens up a lot of creativity and expression
Yeah.
for the game.
I just
I don't know if I agree
okay.
with you on the cold thing, just because I think the threat, like eventually, like if the game develops and they do remove that, like one, I don't like the idea of removing utility. Like that is like removing a thing on the move list feels kind of bad. And I just feel like, you know, if it's just an ambush, like the threat of Kano Ball is still there, whether you see it him spinning or not. You know, he can still come out at any time. So I don't know how much of an impact that would actually make. I
Well,
personally prefer my
it's more in
summon
the
thought.
it's more in the scenario that let's say you're on knockdown versus Sub-Zero, and during the slide animation, you know how they do. They summon Cannonball and they hold it and they go for their
Yeah.
mix, right? At least if they do it early, let's say we remove the ability to hold it, it would still actively function. If they do it early enough, it would actively function as an armor breaker with like the low option or the media option. But if you wouldn't be able to do your overhead and then just tell it to go away and hit confirm into a full combo or keep it safe and block. Like if you were to say that, hey, I think they're going to react to the overhead, they're going to block the overhead, so I'm going to call it out. And then the overhead actually connects instead, they would just get comboed into Cannonball. And now they lost the combo, but it was for the sake of keeping their overhead safe.
Yeah, but I also think that the canceling it is really interesting utility in set play that I don't. I think that's good for the game, right? Just like when it's there, it's set up on my knockdown. I'm like, okay, I know it's here, I know it's coming. You know, to me, like with my idea of the summon, making a summon to where you actually have to go through an animation, like you need to commit something. You need to actually set it up like it's a Guilty Gear Oki, right?
Yeah.
Because I just don't like the idea of straight up removing utility from the game. Because
I don't either.
yeah,
I'm not coming to these final decisions, and I don't think they're
yeah, none of us are.
like final in the first place. I just think that if you were to go about nerfing it, I think those are the two only routes, because destroying one, like I think they work really well in conjunction with each other. And so if you kind of just really destroy one, and the only good thing about it is the fact that he has like a really good cannonball or he has a really good knife, it's like, well, you know, what are we doing? I still want to keep them very just grounded. I don't want it to be
Yeah.
too strong, but I still want it to be really like there's an attraction to it. Like there's a reason you should use this.
For sure. And they'll probably not do any of our ideas, but I still think it's a good exercise to talk about. I think it helps us develop our ideas of like what makes a cameo good or too strong, and like what the power level should be. Oop.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, is that all for Kano? Tento, you got any last thoughts?
Volcano. Moving on.
I knew
Sonya.
you were gonna say that. Sonya, let's talk about Sonya. Sonya's a lot less to discuss with Sonya. I feel like
Yeah, it's a lot less good. She's very basic. Like I feel like she's a
tutorial
very
cameo.
yeah, literally. Like, that's a perfect way to put it. Like if I were to say like just to start off like okay, do a launch, extend it, and then do your ender. That's pretty much it. Like she's very good just as a base kit of like she has simple zoning that she can charge up as well, and then she has I didn't find I was with me playing sub. I didn't find any strings I can really do off of to get the leg grab full combo extension, but
Yeah,
but
not
the
everyone wants
square,
it juggled there, as opposed to like the freeze that Frost gave you.
yeah, like so I didn't find anything off of that, but like square boot and then the zoning wise, yeah, the zoning definitely threw him off a little bit because like I'm playing sub, you know, I'm just doing out the freaking what's it called the mid and
Clone
just throwing
charge?
up ice clone, and then I'll throw up ice clone, and then all of a sudden I'll do Sonya assist behind the ice clone with the ring, and they're like wait, and then they get hit for the game. That was hilarious. That definitely was hilarious because you could not like see her when I threw I did ice clone and it made her shoot. That was actually pretty funny. But yeah, but as Bacon said, she's a tutorial like assist, so she's just basically there for you to just do simple combo extensions, simple pressure. It's really nothing much to her, to be honest, in my opinion.
I think the fireball's okay.
Yeah, fireball is okay.
I
The
think it's
fact you
okay.
can charge it
Yeah.
as well is like pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, like I was fighting a Johnny who was using Sonya at one point, and like they were throwing the fireball out to like help them get in. I'm like, oh, that's all right, you know,
So,
better than laser.
so I have a question, right? And do we think that she should be buffed at all?
I think that for the right characters, the utility and like conversions you can get are gonna be really good.
Yeah,
Like I
she's
still
fine.
think with sub, like converting, there's gonna be a lot of characters that are in a sub situation where they can convert off like EX slide or some really important tool that they normally can't, which
Mm-hmm.
gives her value there. You
Yeah.
know, because I think there's a lot of characters that might give you an option to combo off EX slide or whatnot, but like Sonya's is so fast that you can like we were talking about earlier with sub, you can basically hit confirm with it,
Mhm.
and
Mm-hmm.
it travels pretty far. You can get a lot of pickups in a lot of situations, and I just don't think that there's going to be many other assists in the game that give you that clean conversions.
Yeah, and on top of that, she off the full mid string with sub that ends with the low slide. She it
Oh
pops
yeah,
up and you get a launch with Sony. Like she's like Bacon said it perfectly. Like she truly is like
yeah,
a great base assist. Like she's one of those like easy to learn assists, but then like as you develop, like she can set up a situation like okay, this is pretty cool. What she can do here
yeah,
with the charge ring and whatnot. So
yeah.
yeah,
Like
especially like with oh yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I think she's pretty good in this build. I think when we're talking about if she needs to be buffed, I think we're projecting that there's gonna be other cameos in the base in the full game that do what she
Better.
does. You
Yeah.
know, that give you these conversions. But I don't know if there will be. You know, like I haven't spotted one where it's like that's a Sonya like cameo move, right?
Yeah, and then like the one situation I saw was like when someone did the square boot in the air, and then they did Luke Kang's low fireball. I'm like, man, you just covered both options right there. Like, boom.
Yeah.
That was just crazy to me thinking about that. So, yeah.
Okay.
See,
Well,
so,
what's go ahead.
yeah. Any thoughts on Sonya?
No, I just think that she's very basic.
Yeah.
I'm in the same ballpark
She
as you
doesn't
guys.
have a lot
Just
of
for
grounded utility. Is the big thing.
yeah,
Like she doesn't extend anything on block unless you get like a full charged fireball, I guess. But
that wouldn't happen, you know.
yeah, she almost feels like a summon assist where with how her ambush is only for like anti-air situations and stuff. But I think that the ambush is really good. I she's very simple and kind of basic, but I think comboing off EX slide feels good, man. I don't think that's ever not gonna be good.
This man.
Yeah.
All right. So then, what's next? We have Jax. I did not experience with Jax at all.
He
I
seems
think-
fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw a lot of stuff from the Lee May players using
Mhm.
Jax,
Lot of
like
ambush.
Deadly Rebel and Dab, who were coming up with a lot of creative ideas because the biggest selling point was that air grab, which had so much time in between the point that it actually grabs you and then releasing for the juggle that it gave you an opportunity to combo into more lanterns. And it was really good with Lee May because most of her stuff pops you up in the air anyways, whether it's special cancelable or not. So I think there's going to be characters like that when the game releases where Jax is going to be really beneficial. I also think there's going to be and we said this during the stress test, but there's going to be a lot of potential for Jax and the unblockable
Mm,
when the
yeah.
game releases, and there's going to be a lot of really messed up scenarios. Something I had heard from someone, which actually made me like giggle a little bit, was that they were complaining that Jax TODs weren't practical enough. And it occurred to me that I was like, do people want practical TODs? And I thought, I was like, yeah, I know they're kind of difficult to get the person in the scenario where you're hitting them for 100 per their entire life bar, but I was like, it shouldn't
Yeah.
be easy, you know?
And even in situations where you'll be like, oh, but there are options, like you're still forcing something out, right? Like if it's like, yeah, it's not a true TOD, like you can armor it or you can jump, but it's like, all right, well now you're in a situation where it's you kind of have to armor or jump, right? Like you force things out, and though and like I'm sorry, but day one there's gonna be a true TODs like that.
100%.
It's just the nature of a game like this. It's gonna happen, and maybe they'll make it scale a shit ton or something like that, like I don't know, like Tremor unblockables in X or some shit. But I don't know. I think it's kind of cool too, so I'll let it rock.
Yeah, I think it's kind of the conclusion that we're going to come to for a lot of things is if it's really cool, we'll let it rock for a bit
Hell
and
yeah.
we'll figure it out from there,
Yeah, that's how Setron got through unnerfed. She was just so cool.
No, yeah, everyone thought Setron was the best.
All the people that mattered thought.
Mm.
Uh, what the fuck does Square Wave does the purple shot? Because I swear I think I just assumed it was projectile going into the beta, and then it wasn't, and I was like, oh, I think it's
Are you
like a
talking
wake up.
about the summon,
Yeah, the purple
like little
summon
swipe?
shot. Yeah, what the hell is that?
It's just a safe special, but it's like really safe. I think it's like -2 or something.
Right, I think it's a wake up
And they
too,
buffed
or
it.
they buffed it.
Yeah, they buffed it. It was very slow in the stress test, and nowadays it's like you can actually use it as an ender for a block string and kind of continue pressure based on mind games. So I think they did a really good job of buffing it. I didn't
Okay.
think they were going to do anything with it, but I think it's good in its current
Yeah.
state.
All right. Now we can talk about the one that I use the most, and that being Frost.
Frost.
That be true for you too, Cease with Kenshi? A lot of
Yeah.
Frost.
Yeah.
It's all you guys expertise, so I'm gonna just give my little
Yeah.
30-second warner. She was very interesting. I felt like she definitely complimented Kenshi the most. I feel like she people gravitated, of course, for Kano for Johnny more, but I feel like she possibly could have did a couple things for Johnny as well. But like yeah, I definitely saw oh yeah, she is the peanut butter to this man's jelly when it comes to the Kenshi side of things. And I also feel like you made too with the ice orb and whatnot. So because she has some interesting setups with the ice orb, but that's all I got for her. You guys can go into it deeply because you guys use her the most.
I have a woke take on Frost.
Ooh, let me hear it.
I know she looks really good right now. I don't think she's going to be that good when the game releases.
Is it no ambush?
No ambush.
No ambush.
I don't think that's going to be very good. I think the low ice, the full screen combo stun or combo launcher is going to stay the same. It's going to be good. I think its best quality is the fact that it eats projectiles. As it currently, not the projectile itself, but the fact that as soon as it's out, Frost is always going to take the hit. So as long as you are in a projectile war and you call that out a frame before their opponent calls out whatever shoots their projectile, you're getting the full combo. I think that's the best thing about it.
Projectiles that class, by the way. I just thought about that. Yeah, we just is this the first
a few.
MK?
There's a few, yeah.
This is the first MK that we've ever had. That
I mean, we've had EX Ice Ball. We've had, some moves that individually had that property.
But yeah, it's like we have actually like projectiles that class was really happy to fierce. I mean, not fierce. C's just made me realize that. But go ahead, continue.
Yeah, and I think not day one, but I think it was day two. At least the people that I was practicing with constantly, they were already reacting to. I couldn't tell if they were reacting or fuzzying, but they were reacting to the difference between the chip out and the low ice. And so they were ducking the chip out move and blocking the low ice and getting a punish on both.
Yeah, I mean, I think that chip out's still gonna be good. I don't think the guess is between low ice and the chip out. I think the guess is gonna be the chip out and the not held one. Like that's just like the creeping ice one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's probably
what I meant to say is like they were doing all the options. They were covering all the options. So at least the players that I was with, they were kind of figuring out like what to do against all of it, and so it seemed a little bit weaker the more time that we got to put into it. I still think that like worst case scenario is you do that safe creeping ice esque move, and what you're in the corner, you're plus, in mid screen, you reset neutral. So it's like it's still going to be good, but
Yeah.
I think the fact that there's no, it's just a gimmick is going to kind of like fall back on her. I think there's
Yeah.
potential.
I mean, you are
I think
plus,
yeah,
which that's always gonna be good. I also think that like I was having success with the stabby stab move of putting it at like weird spots in the block string, right? So like instead of just doing like with Kenshi like forward 2-2 into stabs to push him full screen, it's like, all right, this time it's just forward 2 into it,
yeah,
Or I was doing back 2 into it a
yeah.
lot.
Anything into the overhead was what I was focusing on, because
Yeah,
you're less incentivized to make a hard duck read when you know that you could get hit with an overhead, and
Yeah.
also like that, and both options will kill you for the game.
yeah, and just putting it in like weird moments in block strings where they're like not like the first hit instead of like the hit confirmable hit.
Yeah,
Kind of
yeah,
like
yeah.
how people would use like the Hawk for Nightwolf in 11, where just do like a
Mhm.
jab into it, right, to throw off flawless block timings. Like I think that's always going to be good.
Yeah.
And once we get training modes, there might be some characters that love that frost bomb.
Yeah,
that
that thing is, I think that has a good amount of potential, but for what at face value for what I was fighting, I pretty much had already like gotten most of the, I was just duck OSing. Whenever they would dash up and throw, I would duck OS it, and they were getting, and then I would just block the bomb and whatever they followed up with. I think the most effective thing that I had seen was Tweety was using it, and he played Sub-Zero, and he would dash up for the shimmy and then go into the overhead. And so that would catch me more than
Yeah.
any other. Like that caught me in our first to 5 more than anyone else in the entire time I played the beta.
Yeah, I think Tento also mentioned Frost Cage having potential, and I think I saw like one clip from like Patient Impulse where he got the capture state and was able to hype up like mid combo.
Yeah, that's
Which
why I was
seems
like more
pretty
good about
good.
likewise. Like you can definitely do. I feel like
Yeah.
it wasn't explored because Kano was like honestly Kano just people just want the big damage, so I understand. But like I feel like Frost definitely has some things that you can do, especially when we have more time to lab and the people's like, oh, maybe I won't be able to get 600 because of Kano, but I can definitely get 400 because Frost allows me to set up for a couple of things. So like yeah, that's how I think about it.
Yeah, and Cease
Yeah,
talked
just
about like duck OSing the setup. If you're caged, you got 9 frame mid, that kind of goes away, you know?
yeah. I just, when you in a competitive standpoint, you're kind of trolling if you're using Frost over Kano right now. And so I just don't, unless that's just really your thing, you want to play a setup character, but you also want to play Johnny. I don't see too many scenarios where like this 9 frame
I can
mid
definitely agree with that.
is really gonna like come into play. But I understand that's also gonna apply to other characters, and there's gonna be a very similar. I without a doubt believe that there's gonna be another move
That's
similar to her bomb
and it's
amongst the
also
cameos.
I think it's also like this opinion is partially based on not necessarily the strength of Frost, but the strength of Kano, right? It's not that I think Frost is super bad. It's just that she's kind of outclassed,
Yes.
So it's and especially when you get like we're at like a -1, maybe even more month build.
Hmm.
It it's kind of hard. Like it's hard to project balance like this, and I think I came away from Frost thinking, okay, there might be more to the summon only assists characters. Like I think like Motaro's one,
Hmm.
Kung Lao's one. Like I came away going, like, okay, I'm more interested in these than I was, you know, going into this beta. I think there's more potential there.
Yeah, and I'm really interested in these like pseudo ambush assists, which are just like
Yeah,
summons, but they're so low recovery and they have an active, or they're still active on the screen. Namely, from what we just saw, we saw Motaro with both
yeah. The
the
Dexstar
little,
fireballs, Dexstar
yeah, both
stuff.
the fireballs and the wall. And so that also applies to Frost
Yeah,
with her Rust Bomb. with the cryo bomb.
I think Serena had one. That's kind of what I was hoping they would do with like Kano Ball.
Which one was Serena's? Sorry, Serena. My bad.
Serena, she was the demon chick, and she would like throw.
No,
like,
no. Which
the
move was it?
the projectile that like Havoc comes all like the double scythes.
Oh yeah. You're right. You're
like
right.
when they're coming back, you can act.
Mm-hmm. Did you guys see in any of the gameplay what that hex did?
No.
The hex is a meter drain.
It is. Oh,
All right, this is where we ended.
And it drains fast. It's not a. That's not a.
Yeah, that's why I said we ended.
You were in it for 3 seconds and your bar was gone.
All right. Any last thoughts on the beta, just in general, or do we want to move on to the news?
Yeah, the beta was just overall like I enjoyed the beta. I feel like it was a great. I'm glad people posted clips and all that stuff, whatnot, because they are going to fix it. They wanted us to post the clips and look at that. They were all looking at that. Like I saw Dizzy and freaking Hayate's chat, so I know they're all watching and trying to fix things. So yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I'm glad they're taking the feedback and going to make sure this game is going to look good in a month, and it definitely is.
Yeah, aside from the occasional glitches, I think my only other concern was the online mode and how you were just constantly in a loop of finding a single player for hours on end.
Yeah.
I think with just those quality of life changes, the game gameplay wise is in a really good place right now, and we can worry about what's to come when the game fully releases. But like as it currently stands, I'm very excited. I think it's heading in a good, healthy direction.
Yeah, if balance is your only concern, like your main concern about gameplay wise, then it's great. That's a great foundation for a fighting game to release with. I think the biggest thing for me is that it's just fun. You know, like this feels like a game that like I think I want to play again. It's cool to see like so many eyes from outside like the NRS community going like, oh, this looks sick, right? Like how many people from like the broader FGC you see tweeting like, oh shit, like Cage, the crowd goes A for Cage combos. That's sick. Like just like little stuff like that, you know. I just love to see a nice light shined on the scene. All right. Let's we've been here for almost 2 hours, so let's rapid fire some news. The trailer. What do we think? Sindel, Xiao, it was like Shujenko, Motaro, and like we saw more Raiden. How we feeling?
No one cared about Raiden. Everybody cared about Sindel and Xiao. I'm liking Xiao's hammer setups. It's looking really cool.
Axe, get it right.
Axe, hammer. He's swinging the big thing. All right.
Look at him, not a true fan. Not a real MK fan.
No, I like how they made Xiao look like the Iron Bull from Dragon Age Inquisition.
Bro, those horns looked OD. But yeah, his axe and all that play is honestly looks amazing. I actually didn't mind Sindel at all.
Yeah, she was hot.
She was. Definitely has the nice silver mane. You know, she was doing her thing. Raiden, we saw, we was like, we it's like that was like more Raiden gameplay we actually got to see.
Yeah.
And it was like really cool, but like people know that Xiao and Sindel stole the show. Shujinko was like whatever to me because he's just a mimic. He mostly just stealing people's moves. So it's just like, yeah.
That's a cool gimmick, but the problem is that all the moves he stole in that trailer were just like enders. Like,
so I was like,
if he like stole Ice Clone or some shit like that, I'd be like, oh, hold up, you know.
We don't know though. We don't know yet.
He might, but like that's, you know, maybe he'll steal like Spear or some shit. But the two that
we've seen in the past with like Shinnok and how they changed him. Like there's definitely room for them to adjust which moves he steals.
It's just the two moves that it was like what, an overhead axe and like a cartwheel.
Overhead
they
cartwheel.
They picked some boring ones to show off.
The Motaro though, when I saw that big motherfucker on the screen, I said,
Dexstar?
Shit. This motherfucker got a tail that's long as shit. He got projectiles with
Yeah.
Then I saw the projectile reflect. I was like, oh, cool. Know how this matchup's gonna go. And teleport with them too. I was like, oh, so that means we have 2 confirmed people who can teleport you. That is crazy. We're gonna see how that goes. We're gonna see. But I overall definitely enjoyed how both of them look. I am definitely gonna be trying out Xiao. That man looks like he's fluid. And he definitely has some great moves on it, especially with that X. And I'm happy. I can't wait to see the combat cast tomorrow. I cannot wait.
Yeah, I wish Motaro did more horse things.
That I can agree with. I can actually agree with you with
Like
that.
I get it's a reference to MK3, but his throw is so boring. Like I wish he like picked you up and then like slammed you on the ground and then like trampled you or something like that.
Something like shit, use something with the tail. Like he definitely would like pick you up and just punch you in the face, brother. Do more.
Yeah, they just made him Dexter from Injustice 2. It was weird.
I want to speak on the animation side of things.
All right, go for it.
And I don't want to kind of mimic a lot of the banter, just the kind of like endless void of Twitter.
Yeah.
But Sindel looks like her animations, in my opinion, while they are fluid, they look like shit.
It's hard to make stabbing someone with your hair really feel impactful, you know?
It's less about that, and it's more so about the fact that she does not move whatsoever. It's there's little to no movement going on in the body. I know that can be, you can make the argument that she's free to control her hair without actually moving the body itself, but I don't think that's a valid reason when we're talking about, like, this isn't lore wise. This is just video game creators, animators, and I don't think she looked very good. I think Shao looked pretty good, but his stubby T-Rex arms when he wasn't using the axe really bothered me. I think those kind of looked like crap. Although I do like the gameplay direction that they're going with for him.
Right.
Who else did I have? I remember there's one more critique.
Shingo, Raiden, and Motaro are the characters.
Motaro, I think the only critique I had for Motaro was that I do not like how he punches. Like, I don't even mind that it's the grab itself, but it feels very weightless. He doesn't turn his body whatsoever. Like, that felt very weightless. They could have done better with that.
It felt like he's like a really weird character to animate, so it felt like they didn't want as much interaction, right? Like he doesn't actually like punch you within his like cameo attacks. They're all like he puts stuff on the screen and shit.
Yeah.
But I feel like for that canned animation, like like let him wind it up a little more, you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
His fatal blow is very funny though. I thought that was.
I was like, bro, I'm thinking the tail about to get swiped or something like that. No, he just boots him. I'm like, okay, that's cool and all, but that tail, you can do something with that tail, bro.
I don't know. I think it's very funny, his fatal blow animation, so I'm okay with it.
And speaking of fatal blows, I cannot be the only one who winced at the. I don't wince
reaction
at any.
video.
Yeah.
Winced at Sindel.
Yeah, because I don't wince at any of these. I'm very unfazed by these Mortal Kombat fatalities and X-rays and fatal blows.
Yeah.
That one, like, oh man, I just felt it.
I was like, bro, Raiden's never gonna. Okay, you know what? All right, bro. There's no way she just ripped tendons like that with hair, but you know what? You can have it.
Although I feel like Raiden should be able to do the splits, right?
Oh
Raiden
yeah, but he's not separating those joints.
If anybody, Raiden just pissed me off the most. Actually, I'm not gonna lie.
I like Raiden more than I have in previous games, but he's still Raiden.
They really made I was really story wise is like this man Lou really made him champion over Kung Lao. Like that's your best. You know what? Let me just leave it alone.
Maybe he earned it. You know.
I want to go into it. Because I'm gonna get mad.
Yeah, we're not talking about the story. I don't care about the story.
And I know you don't. That's why I said I'm gonna end it.
Yeah, I don't care about Invasion either. And I'll be honest, I was not. I know like some characters got shown off in Invasion. I was not really combing through that, so I'd rather just wait till we get real gameplay. I will say, the one striker assist we saw was very funny.
There was a striker assist?
Yeah, there's a striker assist.
Dude,
and
here,
you do it on gears, you're bogus.
No, I'm gonna DM you it real quick. It's so funny. Hold on, let me post it in chat.
Okay, because I heard a little bit of talk about striker, but I didn't actually engage in any of that.
I want you to watch it, and I just want to hear your thoughts. That's all.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Because it's very funny.
While you're doing that though, okay, I'll actually put it in here.
Yeah, it's there.
Here, let me look. What?
He just arrests you.
Oh, okay. So I thought it was Lao using the assist, and I was like, why would he arrest himself?
You said what?
No,
So
it's
that
it's just
what
an
was
ambush.
so
It's just
apparent?
it's just a
It's a summon.
It's just a tracking. It's a summon.
yeah. Look at reptile.
Oh yeah. Okay, hold on.
It's a
So
summon
it's
for
a
a while.
summon-
Like it doesn't
yeah,
recover fast at all.
Well, yeah, but it's a combo extender from
yeah,
the looks
yeah,
of it.
yeah, yeah.
So I think this is fine.
Yeah, it reminds
first-
me of the one projectile that Swamp Thing had.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about that much. We don't need to go in depth on a 4-second Twitter clip.
Yeah.
Because it's been almost 2 hours. But Cease, plug your shit for us. How about that?
Okay. I think for most of my socials, you can find me at whether it be YouTube, Twitch, or Twitter /CeaseMH. I think that's subject to change as soon as Mortal Kombat 1 releases. But we'll see how that goes because I just secured a different PSN, same Cease branding and all. I just wanted to remove the MH. A lot of people confuse that for different organizations, and those are just my initials. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. But for right now, anything YouTube, Twitch, Twitter /CeaseMH.
All right, now I'll be in the description for sure. Reminder, this episode will be on Spotify podcast as well as YouTube if you just want to listen to it. I feel like it's a little late now. You probably, if you're listening to us now, but fuck you.
Brother.
Tenso, take us home.
Hey guys, this has been episode 7 of Let Us Cook. Please, thank you again for coming out and speaking your voice on the game. We will have another episode probably a little bit after this combat cast, and they probably give us one more trailer next week. I have a feeling, I don't know why. And then the game's going to be coming out in like pretty much like 2.5 weeks. So yeah, we're going to be playing. But you guys have a good night and stay blessed.